Will the Arvind Kejriwal arrest be an X factor? Will it have any impact on the politics of 2024, or will it be a non-issue? I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. This is only one of the questions that we'll be putting to our guest who will be joining us in a few minutes from now. We'll be talking to Yashwant Deshmukh, whose latest ABP-Cvoter survey throws up some very, very interesting questions, both on the impact of the Kejriwal arrest, but also on what's really top of the mind for voters today. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, has given a call for Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar. Is that a realistic slogan, or is it a rhetorical slogan to charge up the base? What about the India Alliance? In Bengal and in Maharashtra, members of the alliance have actually chosen to go it solo. Will that have any impact on the opposition's attempt to put forth, at least in some states, a united battle? Where does this leave the Congress party? Could it sink even lower than the last time? Is this going to be an election that solidifies a few regional parties while potentially diminishing others? And what about the Hindi heartland and the impact of the Ram Mandir and Ayodhya? So much to talk about with our guest today. As I said, Yashwant Deshmukh is our newsmaker today. Let's bring him up on the program now and welcome him. Yashwant, it's always such a pleasure and such a political masterclass, I always call it, to have you with us. And let's get the ball rolling. There's so much to talk about in this ABP-Cvoter survey. But the ABP-Cvoter survey also has a very interesting tracker out, getting some top of the mind dipstick feelings about what people are thinking about the Arvind Kejriwal arrest. And what is interesting, of course, is that the opposition and NDA voters, as we can see on our screen, and we can play this set of graphics now, have very different responses. And I'm just going to ask you to take us through that. Go ahead, Yashwant.
Each and every reaction, is these days, and particularly in the election season, are very much in the political partisan line. But interesting part is when you look at the numbers which are contradicting of sort, like, if the opposition voters are saying something which is pro-Modi, or if the NDA voters are saying something which is pro-opposition of sorts, or pro-Kejriwal, these are the things where you sense the insight, okay, what kind of impact in terms of swing or anything of that kind that might take place. Say, for example, what impact of the allegation of the eliminating the opposition, or, will it affect or unite the opposition in the Kejriwal issue? So, see, opposition, almost 6 out of 10 are saying yes, while in the NDA, only about 34. When I say only, I actually look at it as a very, not really only, but a very stronger point, that almost every third NDA supporter also feels that because of Kejriwal's arrest, opposition will be united. On the other hand, it's 28% of the opposition voters, which is like every fourth opposition voter is saying it doesn't really matter. This tells you a lot about the kind of churn that this election is keep making or doing or already undertaking in that way. If is up a danger of disintegration after Kejriwal's arrest, look at the opposition number. High risk 25%, slightly 28%. Now every fourth and opposition voter is feeling like, there is problem. This party is not going to sustain in that way. Yeah. If you add 28% with slight disintegration of sort, almost every second opposition voter is feeling this is going to create a trouble, in that way. Now, look at the NDA thing. They are even more bigger number thinking that after this entire thing, the phenomena of AAP is likely to crumble down. But then there is about 22%, that is 1 in 5 NDA voter, which is saying it's not going to happen. This guy is way beyond as a phenomena that you are thinking. This is going to create a trouble. This is going to create a problem. So when you analyze these fears, you realize that there are two different kind of prudent votes within each camps. When I say prudent, which means like roughly about every fourth NDA voter is like kind of cautious. Don't be too excited. This might backfire kind of a thing. On the opposition rank and file, there is like almost 1/3 of them which I find very interestingly doesn't they don't really they are really bothered about the Kejriwal thing, and this could be multiple reason behind that, Barkha. Say for example, I really don't think that the core Congress supporter in Delhi actually celebrates Kejriwal. Congress leaders
Yeah.
don't celebrate Kejriwal in Delhi because they know Kejriwal has eaten them up. So if the Kejriwal equation is out of the frame, then they feel there is a chance of recovery for Congress. Same is with the Congress leaders in, say, for example, in Punjab, or for that matter in Gujarat, where the Congress leaders know that it was the Kejriwal's performance which was the key reason for their meltdown during the Gujarat elections. Same is the case of Haryana, for that matter. So I don't see essentially uh, emotion of let's get together kind of thing among the masses as far as the opposition vote bank is concerned. But at the same time, I see significant cautiousness among the NDA voters, which not just from the partisanship that they say BJP should be cautious, but also some of them genuinely say this is wrong. It
Yeah,
should not go.
in fact, I was looking, you had a specific question on whether it will generate sympathy. And if we can just cue that slide, I'd be quite interested to actually see that. This is, of course, the eliminating the opposition. This is whether it's in danger of disintegration after Kejriwal's arrest. And now you see, one of the things that we already see happening in Punjab, you've seen a member of parliament joining the BJP, you've seen an MLA joining the BJP, while most of your a survey seems to suggest that they do not believe that AAP will disintegrate. They do not believe that AAP will become weak. Actually, the AAP has already begun to show signs of danger, and today the Aam Aadmi Party itself is saying that there is an attempt to take our MLAs and our MPs away. So, what do you think?
Well, I think that Mr. Kejriwal has a very, very unique positioning in Indian politics, Barkha. On one hand, his entire game got elevated because of his initial positioning as anti-Congress, during the Anna Hazare movement and all that. But on the other hand, right after 2013, he positioned himself as anti-Modi player. Now, the thing is that there is a genuine sentiment attached to him on during that Andolan days, and some of that core vote remains with him. But if you look into his Delhi politics, funnily and oddly enough, there is roughly about 20% vote in Delhi, Barkha, which is anti-BJP, and there is roughly about 20% vote in Delhi, which is anti-Congress. Now, whenever he goes to assembly election, these 40% votes go to him and block, and he sweeps. But whenever the Lok Sabha elections happen, the anti-Congress vote goes to BJP and anti-BJP votes go to the Congress. This is why the Congress vote share jumps ahead of the Aam Aadmi Party during the Lok Sabha election, even in Delhi. So he is in a very unique position where he has the ability and has the capacity to take along anti-BJP and anti-Congress votes
Well,
together.
that's what I want to ask you to talk about. We have the slide. Will AAP get sympathy votes after Kejriwal's arrest? And even 35% of NDA voters believe that he might get sympathy. And now remember, the unique position is not just due to his profile that is in some ways disproportionate to his actual political electoral clout. It is also that in Delhi, it's a very intriguing electorate because it seems to like Kejriwal and the Prime Minister both. And the Lok Sabha and the Assembly elections are very, very divergent. In
Right.
this Lok Sabha election, and I'll come to your seat projections in just a moment, do you think Delhi will have to choose? What does this figure tell you? 35% of NDA voters say AAP will get sympathy votes. 55% of NDA voters say no. 63% of opposition voters believe that this is going to help him politically.
A very dear colleague Amitabh Tiwari, he did some kind of number crunching looking at these numbers, and he said that Yashwant bhai, if this is about 20% block, which is anti kind of thing, and if there is a one third of that block is saying that there is a probability of pro Kejriwal sympathy, then we are looking at a 6% swing going away from the BJP if these convert into votes. And he did that calculation and he came up with a number of 5-2 in favor of the BJP still. But he said that in this case, about 2 seats out of 7 in Delhi can actually go to Kejriwal if this swing happens. Still, majority of that 5 out of 7 will still go to the BJP. But having said that, what I feel that this might galvanize Kejriwal for the assembly elections. Because at the end of the day, it is the Labharti Yojana, it's the welfare schemes which has propelled him and kept him into power, number one. And there is enough traction for him to feel that my support base is not really declining in Delhi, at least, for sure. So that is an interesting thing that I believe that the reason why he has gone to jail and is still not resigning, he is kind of forcing this government to find a technical ground and put Article 356, or if even if LG dismisses him, and if the LG dismisses him, he might very well like to answer, tell that, okay, you dissolve the assembly and, go ahead with the
are you saying that he, by not electing another leader, by having his wife come out and read, comments on his behalf, might be actually daring the LG to dismiss the government and then try and create that moment into a political opportunity?
I guess so. I think he is daring them so that he can come out as a martyr. So he is not fearing to go to jail, and he is actually daring, and he is sensing that this might add to his political relevance and political sustainability even after the Lok Sabha elections are gone. That's what I am sensing. That's why he is not resigning. He will dare, he will challenge, he will feel like that, putting him in the jail, asking him to resign, dissolving this government or dissolving assembly is eventually gonna help him in the Delhi assembly elections. And I tend to agree with that assessment, Barkha, because I have seen that big number of times when big leaders, they go to jail in a very defined manner. Somehow their political equity, political stake remains relevant. However, having said that, Barkha, there is one legal point which some of the people who are known to the cases, and they have during informal discussions, they kind of noted to me that just get it confirmed again, Barkha, but from legal things, that basically it is one of those few cases where the party is a party. It's not an individual, it's not the government, but Aam Aadmi Party is a party in the case. So
correct.
What I am finding it very funny or odd or intriguing that in case if any court judgment comes against Aam Aadmi Party as a party, then the ball will go into the Election Commission's court to kind of de-recognize that sort of thing. And I'm still not very sure because I'm not a legal person, but some very knowledgeable people told me this, and I still need to check this fact. If that is the case, and if that could be the scenario, you should actually talk and check it out.
Yeah, we have another show coming up on what happened with Kejriwal in court, so we'll definitely raise that. I want you to talk a little bit about this question that the ABP-Cvoter survey posed. How satisfied are you with the performance of the chief minister? You posed this for a number of states, but Delhi is in the headlines right now. And satisfied to some extent, 30.7%. Very satisfied is almost 40%. That means 70% of Delhi is more or less satisfied with Arvind Kejriwal. Yeah. He's not unpopular as a chief minister.
No. He's not unpopular at all. In fact, since 2015, it's almost like 10 years, Barkha. In the Mood of the Nation poll that we do for India Today, and we do a satisfaction ranking of all the chief ministers, Barkha. And Mr. Kejriwal's name has always remained there in the top 5, not in the top 10, So at not a single point of time, he was outside the top 10 gambit. Mostly he remained in the top 5. And he is arguably he has been quite popular as far as the assembly level electorate is concerned. Every time he has tried to prop himself up against Mr. Modi, that is where it has backfired to him. That part has backfired to him always. Now, there are two ways of looking at it. Number one, he has been his numbers at the national level went up as and when Rahul Gandhi's number went down. We have discussed this quite often,
Mhm.
But after Bharat Jodo Yatra and Karnataka and Telangana, Rahul Gandhi's numbers went back where they belong, and Kejriwal's number actually went down. So did Mamata Banerjee's number as the national alternative. So the thing is, Kejriwal is right now unable to become an alternative to Modi at the central or the national level. Similarly, there is a bigger handicap with the BJP. BJP is unable to throw any alternative for Kejriwal at the Delhi level. So
That's right.
this is a contest of two vacuums. At the national level is the Modi versus the vacuum, at the Delhi level it's Kejriwal versus the vacuum. Now BJP is trying really hard to, kind of find other ways in order to ensure there is a meltdown of AAP, meltdown of Kejriwal, and people just come up with something where the BJP becomes a significant player. My experience with electoral politics and research, tells me that without a proper, viable, credible alternative face, these things don't really go in the right direction. It doesn't really work the way if you think that 77 was a watershed movement and there was a vacuum and still people voted in that way. It's not 77, it's 2024.
But
Indira Ji
I'm
had lost
really
a lot of popularity at that point of time, with Mr. Modi at the peak of his popularity of all the times at this point of time. So that kind of comparison is not correct. That is not gonna happen. That's not the way
I
it is evolving.
before we look at the first projection, which is in Delhi itself, I'm struck by, I think, the dualism of Delhi as you've captured it. One, that Kejriwal is unable to become an alternative to Modi. So at the national level, this could diminish the AAP. And for the BJP, the assembly level, Kejriwal remains a big factor, and it's important to clarify that all of these, the satisfaction numbers are also after his arrest, right?
Yeah,
Yashwant?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So therefore, there's a large level of satisfaction, whether or not people perceive him to be corrupt. There's a large level of satisfaction locally. But how does it translate into the national picture? Let's bring up the slide of what the ABP-Cvoter survey found. The Delhi Lok Sabha results might throw up. It's again important to clarify as we bring that slide up, Yashwant, that these numbers that we now go to look at statewide projections were done before the arrest. Am I right?
That is true. These were done before the arrest, and they were in continuation of our tracker series. The first one was Barkha for India Today MOTN, then the second one with
That's
ABP
right.
Deshmukh. That's the series that we do, and that's 57 to 36. Now, this 36 is the entire block of Congress plus Aam Aadmi Party,
Yes.
and 57 is the BJP block alone at this point of time. What I was looking at, and what actually Amitabh did analyze in that, he feels that about 17-18% of this 57% block is a swing vote. And if about 6 to 7% that switch away, then this number will come down to about 50%, and that number will go up to 40 to 43%, which might result in 2 seats for Aam Aadmi Party. That is a
But
hypothetical.
this is hypothetical, assuming that the arrest creates a swing.
And yeah, exactly. But it may or may not create a swing of votes. As I said, that every issue is not actually an electoral issue. These swing 18% might very well reserve their vote when the assembly election happens. So, hypothetically, again speaking, Barkha, if suppose there was one nation, one election right now, if suppose the assembly and Lok Sabha elections of Delhi were taking place at the same time, then the chances are that you would see a 7-0 sweep for the BJP and 50-20 split sweep for the Aam Aadmi Party on the same day as on today that we are talking. 50 plus seats definitely for Aam Aadmi Party. So, and if Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress contest together, they might actually add up to almost 60 seats again. So, this split vote would happen even today, even on the same day, one nation, one election.
But I have that's a scenario in which the one nation one election would actually help possibly the Aam Aadmi Party. But since the one nation one election doesn't exist right now, the assembly election for Delhi is still some time away. The AAP has to survive as an entity till then, right? And when you look at what's happening in Punjab and Haryana, the fact is that while your survey projects a handsome lead for the Aam Aadmi Party, and the AAP and the Congress are fighting separately there. The fact is that the exodus has begun. As I mentioned,
Yeah,
Rinku has
true,
left, a
true,
member of
true.
parliament has left, an MLA has left. So abhi se tab tak kya hoga, we don't know, right?
Yeah, we don't know, and partly because of Barkha that unfortunately for Mr. Kejriwal, all his rebel rousers, all his people on the ground who could carry the cadre along. Say, for example, Sanjay Singh, he is in jail. Satyen Jana, he
Yeah.
is in jail. The Deputy Chief Minister, Manish Sisodiya, he is in jail. So basically, you are left with a team of Aam Aadmi Party, which is not really the mass leadership team. So I was actually looking at this video of Saurabh going around in his constituency in Saket doing a thali and Kejriwal ko riha karo. Of course, in social media, some were supporting, some were ridiculing, but I was alarmed at the smaller number of people behind him. Not
Yeah.
really.
This is
We
one of
haven't
the
seen.
this is one of the
Yeah.
protests, and the numbers are very few, as you said on the story.
Very few, exactly. We haven't seen any spontaneous burst of anger, if you may call so. This is very strange because we are looking at New Delhi. We are looking at a place where Aam Aadmi Party has polled in assembly election more than 50% votes. We are looking at a Delhi which was completely clogged down by the farmer protests, which were actually supported by Aam Aadmi Party, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't seen any mass mobilization, neither on the day of arrest, and nor even when I look at Saurabh's that whatever contact program he was trying to do. I don't think that was even supported by the Congress supporters in his constituency. Otherwise, at least some number of heads would be there, you know. So,
Yeah.
and by the way, Congress, even in the worst of the times, has the capacity to at least pull out the numbers. If Ajay Makan decides that I have to make a Delhi Bandh tomorrow, he still can pull out thousands of people on the ground and make it swell like anything. So Aam Aadmi Party, which has been the spontaneous party of public support, I see a problem of
It will
cadre.
be problem of cadre is a very important point. It'll be interesting to see what happens on the 31st of March when the entire opposition is coming together in solidarity for Arvind Kejriwal. But 2 points you made: a problem of cadre, no mass street protests. Three, the fact that most people of experience are now in jail of the Aam Aadmi Party: Manish Sisodia, Satyendra Jain, Sanjay Singh, and now Arvind Kejriwal himself. So this is why Kejriwal remains a popular figure. The jury is out on the impact of this in the next few months. And indeed, if there's going to be any impact at all on the Lok Sabha elections, at the moment, a clean sweep projected by the ABP-Cvoter survey, all 7 seats going to the BJP. I want to turn attention now to some other parts of India. We shouldn't be accused of being only Delhi-centric and fixated on the Kejriwal story. We are also looking at the first batch of numbers that have come in after the Ram Mandir Ayodhya Pran Pratishtha, and it's important to look at the impact nationally, but also in the heartland. So I want to actually start with the states of Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar. Bihar is another very important state because we're looking at these numbers after Nitish Kumar went back to the NDA. Now UP. The BJP plus its allies get 72 plus 2, 74 seats, a whopping 51% of the vote. Look at the numbers for the opposition. I know that if you break it down further, it's 1 seat for the Congress, 5 for the Samajwadi Party that the ABP-Cvoter survey is projecting. Talk about this. Talk about this staggering number of the state of Uttar Pradesh.
BJP is keeping 50% plus. That's the remarkable thing. That's the number one thing. Number two, the India Alliance, that is primarily SP plus. What is going wrong there, Barkha, is that Mayawati in the last assembly election was still in vote share double figures, and Congress was about 2% plus. What Akhilesh has managed to do is to replace Mayawati with the Congress. That is like replacing somebody with 12% vote share and adding a 2% vote share party to your kitty. So that's a deficit of 10%. Pure and simple arithmetic. It's not India plus, it's Akhilesh plus. Akhilesh has become a pole, no doubt about that. But in a largely bipolar contest, because Mayawati in our survey is getting shrunk to about 6-7%. She is unlikely to be any significant player as such. The gap between the two parties is more than 15%. And in a bipolar contest, that kind of a gap actually might even end up in 80-0 sweep. Honestly speaking, it's just the probability
you're saying all 80 seats could go to the BJP?
Well, pretty much it's a possibility, Barkha, because these are kind of about when you are in a 50% plus scenario. And by the way, this scenario is not a regional variable scenario. Like if they are polling more in Purvanchal and less in Western, or more in Awadh and less in Bundelkhand, this 50% plus vote is intact across all the 5 regions of UP. So it's a very, very homogeneous scenario in a way. So, I mean, barring the 5 seats of the Yadav family strongholds, where they are contesting as the family members, likely to contest all the family members, and 1 seat of Raebareli. And that too, with an understanding that Raebareli, some of the Gandhi family members will contest, either, if not mother, then at least daughter will contest, and if Sonia ji goes and makes a very, very emotional appeal that, okay, this is my last election and you shall go for vote for, barring that, even Raebareli is very unsure at this point of time. So in probabilities, Barkha, I have given it like 74-6 kind of a thing. But the fact is that if you will ask me, is 80-0 probable? Yes, pretty much probable.
That's going to be extraordinary and in many ways set the momentum for the 400 Abki Baar 400 Paar ka call that the Prime Minister has made. Let's quickly look at some of the other states in the Hindi heartland. If we can bring up the next slide, I'm not sure what state it is, but overall, if you can talk about Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, what's happening there? It's a one way. I mean, there's no fight.
One seat.
Look at this. It's 28.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Nakulnath Chhindwara seat, and it's like 60-40. And in my current number, and this, by the way, was almost 3 weeks back. Yeah. Actually, the BJP is crossing 60% mark in Madhya Pradesh right now. So if it is like that kind of a stage where you are looking at a scenario where in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Himachal, Uttarakhand, these are the 6 states where BJP is likely to cross 60% mark vote share. Then you have got other Hindi heartland states like Uttar Pradesh, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Jharkhand. There the BJP is likely to cross 50% mark. So you are looking at this entire belt where BJP is either 50% plus or touching 60% or 60% plus. And that kind of a domination is a very, very difficult. I won't say that is kind of impossible, but you need a black swan event to make this thing kind of turn around. It doesn't happen.
Lot of discussion in both Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan on in a way the nudging out of state elections of Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who has moved to national elections, and Vasundhara Raje, whose fate actually remains unclear. Clearly, by your projections, it doesn't matter. It's the Delhi formula. In Delhi, the BJP suffers because it doesn't have a local face. In states like Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj was a very strong local face. In Rajasthan, it didn't seem to matter at the end of it.
No, not at all, because BJP lost the penultimate election, Rani Teri Khair Nahi, Modi Tujhse Bair Nahi. And within 6 months of that, Modi won 25-0. So public was clear. I think that election pretty well defined that the state leadership didn't really matter. While Mamaji was a pretty solid, strong face, but it is an organizational strength that pulled out Madhya Pradesh, the kind of mess that he was in. He also understands it very much, because in our tracker, we had seen there was a mood to change. There was a pro-Congress kind of, I would not call it a wave. It wasn't anger, but there was what we call in Hindi is oob gaye hain log. It was a fatigue factor. But the organizationally speaking, they just pulled it out. So it doesn't really matter. The faces don't matter. These people do not matter as such. They have used those faces wherever it's important. Raman Singh, they have made him the assembly speaker.
Can I come in with a question? Because I was just thinking of this. You said in where the opposition has a good, strong popular face, it matters. The face of the BJP, who's the face of the BJP matters. Where the so Delhi, Kejriwal has been popular at local elections. So in local elections,
That will matter.
it matters. But at national, the voter flips. How do you
Yeah.
explain that? How do you explain that dichotomy?
Well, I think we feel like it's a dichotomy. We feel like it's a contradiction. But majority of the people, for them, I think it's a very fluid, normal uh, way of thinking. You know, it's like somebody who is good friends with Barkha, good friends with Yashwant, good friends with any ABC, and
Yeah,
that person is like, okay, Yashwant, you and Barkha, if you are not having a good relationship, you are fighting with each other, it doesn't really matter. I am good friends with Barkha, I am good friends with Yashwant.
correct,
And
correct.
and I am getting so and so benefit from Barkha, I am getting so and so benefit from Yashwant. So people are quite practical. People are very clear, and people do not wish to jump in the dark. Like, for example, if Arvind Kejriwal asks BJP people to vote against Modi, people are not jumping because they do not know what kind of dark hole you are asking me to jump. Similarly,
Correct.
when Mr. Modi says vote somebody else, vote BJP but not Kejriwal, people are refusing that as well because they do not know what's the option. Are you giving a good face? Is there a plan? Is there something? So much so that in one of our data we figured out people in Delhi assembly election refused to vote to the BJP because they feared BJP will take back all the freebies that Kejriwal has
Hmm,
given.
hmm.
That fear
Yeah,
is there. So
yeah.
same fear is when the Lok Sabha election comes in that okay, you know what, if the opposition guys come in, they will might roll back all these freebies because they were started by Modi.
Yeah.
So people are smarter than the politicians. The issue with this country is that people are way more smarter than the politicians, that they feel that they are smart enough. They are not smart enough. That's the thing.
Now I want to look at Bihar, which is a very critical state to understand the arithmetic of what is going on in the NDA vis-a-vis the India alliance. But before that, I think it's worth talking a little bit about the impact of the Ram Mandir. Where you're talking about possibly all 80 going to UP, but obviously the impact is felt not just in UP but also outside of Uttar Pradesh. So while we're bringing up Bihar, do you want to take a moment to talk about the Hindutva factor, the Mandir factor? What is the central factor of this election? We'll look at Bihar in just a moment. The slide is ready, but just a bit about Hindutva and the
Well,
Mandir.
the nice way of analyzing in a very progressive manner would be that okay, Ram Temple doesn't really matter. The issues matter, the governance matter, but we all know that's not the truth. It
That's
matters.
right.
It matters. What has mattered or what has done the trick is that while the issues of faith or the Ram Mandir or the issues of ideological ground is not diluted by misgovernance, it adds up to the fact. Ram Mandir is not being propagated or not being campaigned as something to come up with where these people are lacking on something. you know they have
Yeah.
done on their welfareism scheme. The prime minister is popular, and on the top of it they are putting up the Ram temple or 370 or talking about the uniform civil code, which are the three core ideological distinctive propositions of which defines the existence of the BJP actually to start with, because
But
that's
but 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 isn't it interesting that if 2019 was a Pulwama Balakot election, Amit Shah is talking about withdrawing the Armed Forces Special Powers Act in Kashmir. ये तो बिल्कुल उलट गया.
बिल्कुल उलट गया and also the fact that they have to hold the elections before September this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
That's a critical one. The way initially I thought that Ram temple is only and only touching the cadre of the BJP, that it will enthuse the cadre after 10 years of sometimes lethargic. What happened in 2004 was more of a overconfidence, more of a lethargy, and that kind of thing that did the BJP, in 2004. I think they
Mhm.
are just keeping these injections ready of adrenaline, that what to push in where. And the call to
Yeah.
370 and 400 is also one of those IV injections directly put in by the Prime
But
Minister.
it's always been said that the only party that can bring change in Kashmir, this used to be said even during Vajpayee's time, and he was a softie on Kashmir, was that it can only be the right wing, because with anyone else, the criticism will always be that you have been soft on nationalism. यहाँ पे बीजेपी के बारे में कोई वो कह नहीं सकता, so they can
And
actually talk about AFSPA potentially looking at its withdrawal. It's a big
absolutely.
story, and it's interesting that Mr. Shah has mentioned it in election season. All right, I want to take a look at Bihar. We've spoken about the Mandir. We've spoken about the BJP constantly writing a new script. Bihar is very interesting. ये तो मतलब किसी को भी कंफ्यूज करके रख देगा. वो तो बार-बार चेक करना पड़ा कि कौन किसके साथ है. नीतीश
Bihar and
कुमार
Maharashtra, the two are the most confusing lots. But there is a fundamental difference in Bihar and Maharashtra, Barkha. In Bihar, the arithmetic is more important than the chemistry, it seems. Because in the last 10 years, we have seen Nitish Kumar changing this way and that way, and every time starts with 2014 election when he contested alone and polled around 16% votes. Now our assessment says that 16% has dropped down to about 8 or 9% at best. But even that 8 or 9%, it's not about chemistry, it's about the arithmetic. While in Maharashtra, the issue is not arithmetic, I think it's the chemistry which scores over arithmetic in Maharashtra. That is why Maharashtra is trickier. Bihar is not that tricky because he goes with...
But hypothetically, if Nitish Kumar had not left the India alliance, वो convener बनना चाहते थे.
India was in trouble.
So you're saying, looking at these numbers, where the math has worked for the BJP plus the JDU, Nitish Kumar, अगर नीतीश कुमार इंडिया अलायंस नहीं छोड़ते तो आज आप क्या देख रहे होते बिहार में?
Well, the numbers before Nitish Kumar thing happened was 30-10 in favor of Mahagathbandhan. So it has just flipped overnight.
Yeah.
Just actually flipped overnight in that way. But one problem and one interesting observation is, Barkha, apparently BJP has decided to contest the same number of seats in Bihar that it contested 5 years back. I think that is gonna backfire. That's not a decision which might backfire. Simply because they might have won more seats if they had contested on a BJP symbol. Nitish Kumar's personal equity has gone down big time in Bihar. Right. And I see a problem on the seats where people who are contesting on Nitish ticket will be taking on directly the people contesting on Tejasvi ticket. And that is where I see an upper hand of Tejasvi Yadav in that kind of contest. So, I mean, I'm just sensing that the seats which BJP will leave for JDU, it might not be giving that kind of return that the BJP is contesting on its own symbol might be giving it to them.
All right, I want to turn to Maharashtra. You have often called two states the mothers of all battles, Maharashtra and Bengal, for different reasons. And in Bihar, you've made the point that the arithmetic is working where the chemistry may not, but Tejasvi is not to be written off nevertheless. Important points there. Let's look at Maharashtra. Maharashtra made total confusion. You have the Congress sulking because the Shiv Sena Thackeray group has gone and announced its candidates. The Congress has done this unilaterally. But if you look at it purely through numbers, you have Pawar's various, the nephews on one side, Sharad is on the other side. No one quite believes which side Sharad Pawar is on. You have Supriya Sule fighting a tough contest. बहुत कुछ हो रहा है Maharashtra में. But if we can come back to the numbers, could we just come out of these pictures and come to the numbers? Yes. Look at these numbers now. 28 projected for the BJP plus and 20 for the India bloc, right? Explain Maharashtra. But vote share, it's little over 42% and nearly 43%. Yeah. It's a tough takkar ki ladai.
But Barkha, these numbers are changing very dramatically because I remember last year is this point of time, we had almost like 5-6% lead for the MVA or India Alliance and almost like 30 seats to them and 18 to NDA at that point of time. The seats are flipping, and this flip is largely because of the decision that in the NDA that they have taken. That BJP is likely to contest almost double the number of seats that they contest last time. And they
Mhm.
are not going to leave only 11, I think, for Shinde group and only about 5 or 6 for Ajit Pawar group. So in that way, I think things are going to change. And also the fact that just like Delhi, when people make a mental note of assembly in the Lok Sabha, I think there is something which is telling me that BJP's number might increase for the Lok Sabha, but they might come crashing down whenever the assembly elections happen.
So
There
it's a
is a
similar story to Delhi.
similar story to Delhi. There are too many contradictions of sorts within the vote banks. I really don't see a core Shiv Sena voter voting for Congress or NCP candidate in order to defeat Narendra Modi's candidate. I don't see
Mhm.
that happening. Similarly, no matter how good they feel about Uddhav Thackeray. Similarly, I don't really see the core BJP supporter voting for an Ajit Pawar candidate, no matter how good they feel about Narendra Modi. They might in the Lok Sabha election, but in assembly election, it's going to be a tough task. Mr. Modi is not going to be on ticket. Please remember,
That's
we are
right.
moving way beyond that kind of thing because Mr. Modi's party has been defeated in so many assembly elections. We have seen because of the split vote in Karnataka, in Telangana, even in a state like Himachal, for that matter.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so right now for the Lok Sabha elections, I think NDA might be even increasing its tally, whatever projection is. We will know in the coming days with an updated tracker the way it is moving, the upfront graph. But when we ask the same respondent about their assembly election voting intention, the unpopularity of the state government is increasing. The anti-incumbency or whatever you may say against the state government is increasing, and there would be a great contest on card in the assembly election. One nation, one election in Maharashtra, as on today, would have reverted almost like 35 or 36 Lok Sabha seats for the BJP and majority for the MVA, probably in the assembly elections.
I'm only smiling because the opposition has been convinced that one nation, one election is bad for the opposition. But two
Yeah, I mean,
examples that you've
even I
given,
am smiling because data is not saying that at all. I mean,
how
had they
interesting.
had they looked at our data, probably they would have made their other mind. But
Very
that's not the
interesting.
case. That's not the case.
Very interesting. Now let's turn to the other big mother of all battles, Mamata Banerjee and Bengal. Now, what's very interesting, and we'll come to the south later, but could we bring up the numbers for Bengal? But as we do that, Yashwant, two opposition regional leaders, if your numbers are correct, and I have no doubt that they will be, are really going to emerge very strong. One is going to be Mr. Stalin in Tamil Nadu, and the other is going to be Mamata Banerjee in Bengal. Let's
Right.
talk about Bengal. Clearly, the BJP has emerged as a force to reckon with. It has, this is not a unimpressive performance, but it's only one up projected from last time, whereas the Trinamool is holding on and also going just about one up. The vote share but we are in the first past the post system, but the vote share is also worth taking a note of 41% to 42%. Talk about Bengal.
Well, BJP's entire might is coming from the rural and the north of the Bengal and south of the Bengal, particularly Kolkata metropolitan, and these are the strongholds of the TMC. They are holding it. The critical thing is that Mamata Banerjee has played very, very smart by saying that I am going to contest alone. If she
Yeah.
would have contested in alliance with the Congress and the left, she would have opened
Mhm.
a floodgate of about 10% votes which are anti TMC and they go to the Congress and the left. She would have, I mean, that vote would have shifted to the BJP and that would have been a lose lose scenario for Mamata Banerjee. So I was right from the day one, I was, saying this aloud that the kind of shrewd and smart politician she is, it is very unlikely that she is gonna give anything to the Congress and the left. She would have very much liked them to contest on. That's precisely what has happened. She is not. She understands this with that whatever the 10% vote bank, that is the residual vote of left in the Congress, 5% each. They are not anti BJP votes. They are anti
Mhm.
Mamta votes because in the last assembly election, anti-BJP and primarily the Muslim votes, the saturation already happened, Bakha. They have
Yeah.
already shifted to lock, stock, and barrel to Mamata Banerjee, so to the saturation point. So left and the Congress do not have any Muslim votes with them. They have largely the Hindu votes with them, and that too anti-TMC votes. So if at all there would have been India alliance in West Bengal, it would have benefited BJP to a great extent. Now the question is for the BJP, how much in their campaign they can tell these anti-TMC voters which are going to left or for the Congress that why are you wasting your vote? We are the one here, principal opposition. We can defeat Mamta Banerjee. Why don't you to swing over? Why don't you switch over to us? Now, that campaign will kind of determine what vote share number we see. And if that converts or flips this to other way around, that BJP scores more than the TMC or not, we will know.
Yeah.
But it's a long campaign period, and you know how many phases West Bengal is going in. That's another thing which we talked about in your show, that BJP, the way things are, probably West Bengal is going to be in multiple phases with 4 or 5 seats in one go. That will not just ensure the campaign, but that will also ensure the proper security and safety management by the Central Security Force. That is important.
Now, there's a lot still to discuss, so I'm going to try and rush through some of the next few slides. Let's turn our attention from the east to the south. We've already spoken about Mamta Banerjee. Let's speak a little bit about M.K. Stalin, but let's also speak about Karnataka, about Kerala, about Telangana, what's going on in the southern states. The BJP has made a big, massive push in the southern states, and in some ways is possibly looking at Tamil Nadu in the same way that it once looked at Bengal, that let us first become the party of the opposition here. So let's start. We're starting with Karnataka. That's the slide on our screen. Karnataka is very interesting. It's a Congress state government, but that is seemingly having not great faida for the Congress. This is Karnataka. If you want to take us through Karnataka, Yashwant, 26 to 5.
I will quickly do it, Barkha, because my phone has started ringing.
I'm so sorry. Let's do a quick.
Karnataka is pretty much there where we left, because JDS went to the BJP, and it is like quite significantly in favor of the NDA. The numbers shown here are slightly wrong. There are 28 seats, and the 5 to the Congress and 23 to the NDA. That 26 is wrong. But because of the JDS and Vokalika votes,
we'll correct that.
Votes going to the BJP, it is going a one-way traffic. Now, quickly to the Telangana, it's the Congress which has taken the upfront. If the BRS and BJP can find some kind of equationing, they can go ahead. Otherwise, it's Congress advantage in Telangana.
Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's do one thing. Let's speak about the slides that are on the screen. So that's Tamil Nadu. Quickly, Tamil Nadu. Okay, we're back to Telangana. You can finish your point about Telangana.
Telangana is pretty much Congress. Tamil Nadu is Stalin all the way. There is nothing going wrong in Tamil Nadu. It's pretty much going the Stalin way as it was. It is the BJP versus AIA-DMK that is happening, which is eating up most. So I think nothing is going to change in Tamil Nadu, barring the fact that NDA vote share will increase further now that the PMK has already joined, and that will be at the cost of AIA-DMK.
Yeah, but what is the long plan in Tamil Nadu? Look at how many times the Prime Minister has gone. I know you're in a rush, but I have to ask you this, especially given the high profile of Annamalai. And then we'll look at the overall pictures before we let you go. But talk a little bit about the South. Why is the Prime Minister
Annamalai
so focused on the South?
Annamalai is a very good catch for the BJP. And he is a long-term growth, organic growth plan, Barkha. And in that organic growth, I think very quickly that will eventually lead NDA to a better position in vote share, but it will not yield anything to them as far as seat share is concerned, barring that they would be in a contest in Kanyakumari and maybe in Coimbatore, not beyond that. At this point of time, we are not looking anything at that point of time.
Okay, the southern states don't have too many surprises to that extent. I'm going to, because your phone is ringing off the hook, I'm going to turn our attention to the overall projection. Can we please bring up the overall seats? Now, here's the question. Ab ki baar 400 par, that was the call that the Prime Minister gave. That would require a dramatic increase in the BJP numbers. Here is how it looks like party to party. 59 for the Congress, 316 for the BJP. This is your projection. You can see the swings on the screen. Now I'm going to go to the next slide, Yashwant, because you already know these figures, and then you can talk about both of them together. Can we please go to the next slide? And in the next slide, you actually see the decline of the others. I was really struck by this. Okay, so look at this. You are projecting 366 for the NDA. And look at the decline of the others. There's also a marginal increase for the opposition.
That is also because of the fact that these others actually went into the India Alliance faction. So it was a physical movement. Like for TDP moving physically to the NDA bloc is going to add seats to
Yes,
the NDA. Similarly, others moving to the India bloc will add to their seats. There is not much
yes.
significant because Congress is still kind of holding at around 20% kind of number, and it's not really happening much. The only thing which will happen from here to the next 8 weeks, probably, unless there is a black swan event, is we need to look if the BJP is going for a saturation performance, number one. Number two, what happens in the key states of Bengal and Maharashtra, you know, and that will tell us whether the BJP is itself is going to cross 350, 340, 330, or the 370 as the Prime Minister is aiming at, which is, by the way, I don't feel it's probable. It's improbable, may not be impossible, but it's improbable.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that is a clear-cut situation, which right now. So only two states actually these election. If you at this point of time, I would say, barring Maharashtra and barring Bengal, everything is kind of sorted up already right now.
Okay, Yashwant, absolutely promise that this is the last question. You did also ask who would you prefer as Prime Minister, Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi. And those numbers are pretty staggering in terms of more than, I think 60%, that number will come, 63%, preferring Narendra Modi to Rahul Gandhi as a prime ministerial contender. But one thing that struck me, this didn't surprise me, this is as expected, but one thing that struck me is when you asked people, what is the uppermost, what came out as the uppermost issue was on expenses. And while people are largely satisfied with the government, they want to see Narendra Modi, his popularity is unquestioned. When we go to the end of the slide and we look at where you're asking people, is it difficult to manage your expenses? There it is. Nearly 60% of those surveys say, this says nearly 6 on the banner, please correct that, it should say nearly 60. Nearly 60% say
It's
it's getting
difficult.
tough to manage. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough, and it's been like that for significant time. I
Yeah.
don't see those numbers coming down after the COVID. It was difficult then. It is difficult
Yeah.
now. That emotion still happens. However, one question that the numbers have changed after COVID, the optimism had gone down big time. Post that, the optimism levels are back. So people are saying we are facing tough situation today. It's problematic today, but it's gonna go better tomorrow in the coming time. And the second thing is that whatever the problem that you ask them about, that whichever one problem that they say about their life, when you ask them whom do they trust to give a solution to it, Modi scores over Rahul Gandhi. I mean, almost like 3:1 kind of thing. It's 75-25 or 60-40 or 65-35 kind of a split in every damn issue that you talk to them. So I think it's the personal popularity, presidential form of election mode that is pulling the things for the BJP right now.
But before you close, where does this leave the Congress party? Pretty much in the same place or worse off than last time?
Absolutely. No, it's pretty
Where
much
does
in the same place. It's pretty much in the same place. Might be slightly about better because of their performance in Telangana and probable few seats in Karnataka. But beyond that, I don't think that the 200 odd seats that we discussed, that where it is the Congress versus the BJP, I don't think that they have done anything better or they are anywhere significantly better than compared to 5 years back.
Okay, Yashwant, we let you go. As you said, most states have a kind of somewhat predictable trajectory. Maharashtra and Bengal are going to be the mothers of all battles. Bihar, the arithmetic so far seems to say advantage NDA all the way. The only good news coming for the opposition remains from some of the southern states and from Bengal. That is how it looks like. We will say thank you to you. It's always a pleasure. Always learn so much from you, and you're very patient. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you
Thank
again
you
soon.
so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Mojo Story has always made a commitment to its viewers to go to where the story is. And as you can see here, we are at the epicenter of the Israel war on Gaza. We are right at the front line, about 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, as the Israeli military gets ready with its tanks and its gunners to begin its final frontal assault that will take troops into Gaza. As we said, we are not like other organizations. We believe in giving you all sides of the story objectively and as much as possible from the ground. And that's exactly what we're doing here, covering the biggest global story today from the epicenter of the war zone. So please, we need your support. Support us, become a Mojo member, subscribe to us, spread the word, and thank you for your support.